Change. Changing schools, changing jobs, changing homes. Change can be difficult. It could also be beautiful, simple, complex, messy, even traumatic. Today I'll share a few of my thoughts and some stories of change in my life. I've also included some fun phrases and idioms in what I share. You might not know these yet, so stick around to the end of the video and I'll break down a few of these phrases so you can understand them a little better. I'm Phil. I've been teaching English here in the Czech Republic at Maják for a long time, and I'm glad you've joined me today. In this video and in these videos, I just want to share a few of the thoughts I have on a certain topic and let you interact with them. In my experience, a lot of intermediate and higher English students have most of what they need in their heads, the grammar, enough vocabulary to make it work. We just need to use what we know. So I invite you to come along with me for a few minutes today in this conversation about change, and let's use what you know. As you know, some people really love change, and some people are very averse to change. They don't want change, they don't want to talk about change, they're averse to it. And personally, I don't know where I am with this. I really do love structure, I like routine, and I like knowing what to expect with things. And so, in that way, I don't love new changes, new things being done a different way. I really like the routine of the way things have usually been. But at the same time, there is a part of me that really likes change. It's an interesting part of me that sometimes doesn't seem to fit with the rest of my personality. But I love it when I can sort of break the mold of what's been done before and do something in a new way, do something completely different. That kind of gets me excited. I think the key for me is that I don't have to do this change alone. I don't mind starting a change alone, but I like a team to be together. I like to work together with other people to create something new or do something in a new way. I also like breathing new life into things. At Maják, here where I teach English, we typically, many of our students are learning English here just on their off time. That means like after work, after school, when they have some extra time. Most people are doing this like just in extra time. In the past, we've had a few different seasons of having some intensive courses, just one day or an afternoon or a series of afternoons where people are learning English like very intensively. And these were really nice, but we realized compared to the amount of students that were able to come and take part in them, we were putting a lot of work into it. And we realized something needed to change, so for a while we didn't have these anymore. But recently I felt maybe we could sort of breathe new life into this idea of giving people another opportunity on their off time to study English in a sort of intensive way. And that's what I've been a part of putting together in these last couple of months. Just little mini intensive courses that take a lot less work, but are really exciting, interesting, and have enough interest to make it worth the while. So for me, breathing new life into things is kind of fun. And in this situation, I didn't have to do it all by myself. I had a small team of people around. It's not me doing all of the work. And so I just love the cooperation and the working together to make this thing happen. But other times, some other person wants to change. They want to propose a certain change, but you don't like it. You don't even think that change is good. So there are times that it's important to stick to your guns. There are times that it's important just to be stubborn and say, no, I disagree with that. I can't go along with this new change. I really don't think it'll work. I don't even know if we can compromise with this. I have to stick to my guns and say, I disagree. A kind of big personal story in my life about change is when I was at the end of my time in university in the United States, and I had a plan laid out for my life. And I thought it was a good plan, and it wasn't really a selfish plan, it's just what I thought I would do. And I thought I would be an elementary school teacher in the United States for like the rest of my life, I guess. And I thought that was a great plan. I was happy about it. I had studied accordingly. I was ready. And through a series of events, my plan started to change. I felt God calling me into something different. And in this case, I didn't hear God telling me any specific words into my ear. He didn't send lightning. None of those things that we sometimes hear about. But I just continued to have the feeling that there was a change already starting in my life and in my mind and in my heart, that the plan that I had for myself wasn't necessarily what the plan that God had for me. And I had the feeling that I probably wouldn't be staying in the United States very much longer. God really seemed to be shaking up my life in a way that made me pretty nervous. Very unknown things were happening, but it also made me a little bit excited. Excited for the unknown that was also a bit scary. But I slowly and gradually took one step at a time toward what I felt like God was speaking to my heart. I signed up to come to the Czech Republic for 1 week for an English camp. I thought, I can do this. After camp, I signed up to come back to the Czech Republic just for 1 year to teach English, work with churches here, and I thought, yes, I can do this. Well, that 1 year turned into 2 years. When those 2 years were over, I felt that I did what I had committed to, and I went back to sort of see if I could do my own plan again in the United States. I was kind of going back to the thing that I thought I wanted. So I was looking for a teaching job. I found a great one. I was trying to make my life look like I thought it would look like. And as I was there, it was funny, because most of the time that I was teaching, all I could think about was the experiences that I'd had here in the Czech Republic and what could be waiting for me if I chose to step out in faith and come back to the Czech Republic and be here longer. I sort of felt like I got this overseas thing out of my system. I didn't have to worry about that anymore, and I could come just start my life in the States. But when God is leading you and calling you into something different, I believe He'll keep putting those things in front of you, and He'll keep giving more and more opportunities to follow in that path that He has for you. And that's how it worked for me. So finally, I did sign up to come back to the Czech Republic and stay for a longer time. And for me, this was not only changing my mind, which is true. I'd had to change my mind, but I also changed my heart. I had a big change of heart during this time to realize that sometimes the plans that I have for myself that don't even seem bad, maybe they're not the best. And I am so thankful that I have this relationship with God, that I can trust His plan for me, and I can know that the things that He has for me are good. And they are probably even better than the things that I have dreamed up for myself. And I didn't feel like God was just sending me to another place all alone. But I truly, in a real sense, felt and feel that when God is with me, I am not alone. And that gives me such comfort. And this big change early in my adulthood really helped me as I have experienced a lot of other changes later in life. I still don't love change, but having this experience early on helped me realize that change can be good, and it can even be like a catalyst for my own growth. And that's important for me. So those are a few of my stories and thoughts about change. I'm sure you have your own, so please feel free to comment what you think about change or a big change in your life. And now I just want to break down a few of the phrases you might have heard me say. Hopefully you understood them from context clues, but if you didn't, I'll share more explicitly right here. What phrase means to do something that I've wanted to do so that after I do it, I won't have the desire to do it anymore. I do it now, so I won't want to do it later. It's out of your system. Get it out of your system. Just do that thing now, and then when you're older, it won't be so important to you anymore. Just get it out of your system now. What's another way to talk about the time that you spend when you're not at work, when you're not busy doing other things? That's your off time. We say we study English on our off time, after work, after school, after other responsibilities. That's my off time. What's a phrase that means taking something old that you used to do and doing it in a brand new way that seems to make it seem completely new, completely different? This is to breathe new life into something. To breathe new life into something is to take something old and refashion it so it's new and good and exciting again. Another phrase that means to do something in a completely new way is to break the mold. Break the mold. So you have a mold, and if you break it, it can't be done in the same way anymore. You have to make a new mold. So if you break the mold, you do some regular activity in a brand new way. Can you sense the difference between to change your mind and having a change of heart? They can sometimes be used interchangeably, but I would say a change of mind or changing your mind means more of a mental or intellectual exercise. You made a new decision about it. But having a change of heart is a lot more emotional. It means you put more of maybe yourself into it, your heart into it, and you make a different decision because of this maybe emotional reason. What is somebody who is opposed to change, resistant to change, they don't want change? It was one of the first things I said about change. We say someone is averse to change. They're averse to change if they oppose it, they resist it, they don't want it, they're averse to it. When I shared the story about God giving me a new idea for my life, and he was kind of making everything get crazy in my life because everything I thought was my plan was no longer my plan, and it felt very insecure and not sure. Well, that phrase that I used was shaking things up in my life. I felt at this time God was shaking things up in my life, making everything different than I thought it would be. And how did I talk about somebody being really stubborn and staying with their original opinion, not being changed to the other side? If you're really stubborn and you stick with what you want, you stick to your guns. Stick to your guns. That means you hold your opinion, you hold your thoughts, you don't change. You stick to your guns. Thanks for joining me today. Do you have any stories of change? I think it's really important to share these. I shared mine publicly, but if you would just like to share and do a little English practice as well, feel free to write me a note. You could write in the comments or just send me a note with the contact information below, and I'd be happy to read it and hear your story and just walk with you along that for a few moments. So thanks for joining me, and join me next time as we talk about something else.